like that.
Smokey,
Right.
Smokey
He
was
in
all
church.
Smokey. There ain't no Friday without
best
Smokey.
friend. Christmas.
We all agree
Michael
to that,
Jackson
and there's
called
no
him
next
Christmas.
Friday without
You
Friday,
ever
and
met
there's
a
no
man
Friday
that
after
gave
next
you
without
love
Friday.
nickname
We
like
talking
that?
about the road because you said that they don't.
Here's the thing.
Katt Williams is no stranger to controversy, but his latest revelations about the music industry have sparked an uproar. This time, he set the spotlight on none other than Michael Jackson. In a jaw-dropping interview, Williams accused powerful Hollywood elites of exploiting stars for their personal gain. He claims there's a hidden, sinister side to the industry, one that preys on vulnerable artists, pushing them toward mental anguish and, in some cases, even their tragic end. Could Michael Jackson have been a victim of this shadowy world? And is Williams pulling back the curtain on what really happened to the King of Pop? His explosive allegations have left people questioning everything. The rumor mill is spinning fast, and Williams has just thrown in a match that could keep it ablaze for weeks. The 52-year-old comedian has set the internet ablaze with his bombshell claims about the mysterious death of music legend Michael Jackson. His statements, fueled by remarks from Jackson's family and close friends, have left fans wondering, what exactly did Katt Williams reveal? And why does his warning strike such a nerve for other prominent Black artists? In a video now making waves online, Katt Williams is seen unleashing his trademark, no-holds-barred commentary, boldly dissecting the events leading up to Jackson's untimely death. With startling confidence, Williams insinuated that the King of Pop may have been silenced by powerful forces within the entertainment world, right before the eyes of the public. While official accounts point to a medication overdose, Williams speculated that this tragic ending might not have been accidental. He claimed that Michael Jackson may have even foreseen his own demise, subtly warning the world, but his cries went unnoticed. One of those warnings, Williams argued, was right in plain sight, the title of Jackson's final tour, This Is It. To Williams, this wasn't just a tour name. It was a chilling message that Jackson knew his time was running out and that there wouldn't be another chance to grace the stage. Tragically, this eerie premonition became reality, as the This Is It tour was Michael Jackson's final public engagement before his untimely death that same year. Katt Williams reflected on the somber tone of Jackson's tour announcement, pointing out that the pop icon didn't exude excitement or triumph. Instead, he seemed worn down, as if he had grown tired of fighting the sinister forces he believed controlled the industry. To Williams, this exhaustion was no coincidence. It was a sign that Jackson knew his time was running out. The comedian boldly suggested that Jackson's death was not merely a tragic accident, but the result of a calculated effort by powerful figures who despised his influence and independence. Fans who watched Williams' video found his claims deeply resonant, with many echoing his concerns about the shadowy underbelly of the entertainment world. Some viewers even hailed Katt as a prophetic comedian, arguing that he has been trying to expose these secrets for years, only to have his warnings ignored. They believe Jackson, too, spent years attempting to alert the world to the same twisted forces. When he finally stood his ground, they argue, the industry retaliated by tearing down his reputation and, ultimately, his life. For many, Michael Jackson's life paints a bittersweet picture of lost innocence and enduring sorrow. His stolen childhood shaped the enigmatic, brilliant man-child adored by millions, yet misunderstood by many. Fans argue that the entertainment industry's demand for silence over truth-telling has made outspoken figures like Katt Williams prime targets, just as they believe it did with Jackson. Jackson's heartbreaking end, they claim, is yet another grim example of how those who dare to speak out often face devastating consequences. The suspicious events surrounding his death only deepen these concerns. Found unconscious in his Los Angeles home by his physician, Conrad Murray, Jackson showed only a faint pulse as Murray attempted to revive him. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital, but it was too late. Doctors confirmed he had passed away. The official cause of death was ruled an overdose of surgical anesthetics and antidepressants, prescribed by none other than his doctor. Yet the details were far from clear. Murray's failure to inform paramedics or hospital staff about the medications he had administered the previous night raised a storm of unanswered questions, leaving fans to wonder, was there more to this story than met the eye? The coroner's report ultimately uncovered lethal levels of medications in Michael Jackson's system, leaving fans and industry insiders reeling. Why had this critical information been withheld? The shocking revelations ignited a firestorm of outrage among Jackson's devoted followers, who demanded swift justice against Dr. Conrad Murray. It wasn't long before Murray faced charges of voluntary manslaughter. Murray maintained his innocence, telling the press, "I've told the truth and have faith it will prevail." His trial unfolded over 6 dramatic weeks, followed by 2 tense days of jury deliberation. On November 29, 2011, the verdict was announced. Murray was found guilty and sentenced to 4 years in prison. Prosecutors argued that his reckless actions directly caused the world to lose one of its greatest musical legends, urging the court to impose a harsher punishment. Meanwhile, Murray's defense argued for leniency, citing his previously unblemished record and pushing for probation. The 4-year sentence enraged Jackson's family and fans, who felt it was far too lenient for a man they believed was responsible for such a devastating loss. The verdict didn't bring closure. It sparked even more questions and theories about the circumstances surrounding Jackson's tragic death, keeping the controversy alive. One widely circulated theory suggested that Michael Jackson's death was no accident, but a meticulously planned act, and that Dr. Conrad Murray willingly played his part. Fans couldn't understand how a physician with Murray's qualifications could justify administering such a dangerous dose, fully aware of the potential consequences. Even more suspicious was his failure to inform paramedics and hospital staff about the overdose, a critical omission that may have cost Jackson his life. For conspiracy theorists, these details formed a sinister narrative. Many speculated that Murray was complicit, perhaps lured into the role with promises of a light sentence and financial security in exchange for his cooperation. This theory argued that Murray had accepted his position knowing exactly how events might unfold, raising troubling questions about whether justice had truly been served. Others proposed that Murray was merely a scapegoat, set up by powerful elites to take the fall for Jackson's untimely death. This view gained traction, especially with vocal support from Michael's sister, LaToya Jackson. She repeatedly expressed her suspicions and stood by her family's side at every court hearing, reinforcing the belief that there was far more to the story than the public had been told. LaToya Jackson became a relentless advocate for justice, using social media as her platform to demand a deeper investigation into the circumstances surrounding her brother's death. She believed Michael was targeted by individuals driven by greed and ambition, portraying him as a victim of those who stood to gain from his downfall. In her impassioned pleas, LaToya urged witnesses, employees, and anyone with knowledge to come forward, hinting that many knew the truth but were silenced by fear. She maintained that Dr. Conrad Murray was aware of what truly transpired that night, but kept quiet, likely pressured by the powerful figures she believed were involved. LaToya emphasized that Michael had dedicated his life to his children and deserved justice. She argued that Murray's actions were just one small piece of a much larger and more sinister puzzle. LaToya's claims didn't stop there. She alleged that Michael had been targeted for his vast fortune and vigorously defended her family from any suspicion of involvement. Pointing to financial motives, she urged investigators to follow the money as a way to uncover those responsible. She firmly asserted that neither she nor her family had any part in managing or benefiting from Michael's estate, reiterating her family's innocence in the tragedy. LaToya Jackson's passionate claims sparked a wave of mixed reactions among fans. Many rallied behind her, convinced that Dr. Conrad Murray was part of a larger conspiracy, especially given the unsettling circumstances surrounding Michael Jackson's death. To them, the inconsistencies and unanswered questions pointed to something far more calculated than mere negligence. However, a smaller yet vocal group of fans held a different view, arguing that Murray was innocent and had simply been caught in an impossible situation as Jackson's doctor. This group suggested that the media and law enforcement had turned Murray into a scapegoat, conveniently ignoring other potential factors in Jackson's death. They highlighted the singer's long history of struggles with sleep and pain medication addiction, a battle his family had tried to address during a failed intervention in 2007, an effort thwarted when security reportedly turned them away at Jackson's gate. These fans pointed to the range of medications found at Jackson's home, many under aliases, as evidence of a deeper issue that predated Dr. Murray's involvement. One particularly alarming detail came from a 2004 police report, which noted that Jackson was allegedly taking up to 40 anti-anxiety pills a day, painting a picture of dependency that complicated the narrative around his death. For some fans, Dr. Conrad Murray was seen as an unfortunate scapegoat, deserving little more than a minimal sentence. But not everyone was convinced by this narrative of innocence. Among the most vocal skeptics was Michael Jackson's daughter, Paris Jackson, who stood firmly with her Aunt LaToya's belief that her father's death was no accident. Paris boldly claimed that Michael had been deliberately targeted by those eager to seize his wealth and control his legacy. In a candid interview with the Rolling Stone, Paris declared, "Absolutely, my dad was eliminated because it's obvious. All arrows point to that." While she acknowledged that her belief might sound like a conspiracy theory, she insisted it was the only explanation that made sense. "It sounds like BS, but all real fans and everybody in the family know it. It was a setup. It was BS." Her raw, unfiltered words left fans grappling with a sea of unanswered questions and divided opinions. However, Paris's perspective added a new layer of complexity to the debate. Unlike some fans and her aunt, who placed much of the blame on Dr. Murray, Paris saw the situation as a calculated, high-stakes chess game involving multiple players. To her, the tragedy wasn't solely about one man's actions. It was about a web of individuals and entities with vested interests in Michael Jackson's immense estate, each playing their part in a larger, darker scheme. For Paris Jackson, the idea of a single culprit didn't align with the scope of what she believed to be a calculated and deliberate scheme. Her carefully chosen words suggested she might know more than she was ready to reveal, perhaps to avoid complicating an already intricate and murky narrative. In her view, those responsible worked from the shadows, concealing their motives to protect their own powerful interests. Directly challenging such forces, Paris believed, was too dangerous. Michael Jackson's unparalleled fame and influence made subtlety a necessity. For this reason, she hinted at holding back certain details, choosing instead to bide her time. Paris expressed hope that one day she might be able to seek the justice she believed her father deserved. In her Rolling Stone interview, she reflected on this delicate balance, acknowledging the complexity of her position. "I definitely do want justice, but it's a chess game, and I am trying to play the chess game the right way, and that's all I can say about that right now," she said. Her words carried the weight of someone deeply impacted by loss, but unwilling to give up on seeking the truth. Paris admitted that her father's death had left a wound that time could never mend. Even as the years passed, the grief remained as raw as the day it began. She simply learned to live with her grief. Reflecting on the weight of her loss, Paris shared, "They always say time heals, but it really doesn't. You just get used to it. I'll live life with the mentality of, okay, I lost the only thing that has ever been important to me." Her words revealed a quiet but profound resilience as she continued her quest for answers about her father's untimely death. Janet Jackson, Michael's youngest sister, coped with his loss in her own way, steering clear of the swirling storm of conspiracy theories and relentless media speculation. For Janet, the constant headlines and rumors about her brother's passing were overwhelming, a painful cacophony she chose to distance herself from. She often turned off the TV, seeking refuge from what she described as madness. Unlike many public figures who seemed to brush off scrutiny, Janet admitted that she struggled with the endless cycle of gossip and speculation. People can have rhinoceros skin, but there's a point when something's going to hurt you, she confessed. Her words reflected the vulnerability of someone who, despite her fame, remained deeply human in the face of unimaginable loss. Not everyone is stone, Janet reflected, choosing to shield herself from the overwhelming noise surrounding her brother's death. She relied on her chef as her sole source of news, opting for peace over the chaos that consumed the world. During that period, Janet found solace in her cherished memories of Michael, particularly their last time together on May 14th, just days before her 43rd birthday. It was a joyful family gathering filled with laughter and the sound of children racing through the house. Michael and Janet spent the evening teasing each other, sharing a meal that left them both beaming with happiness. It was a rare, carefree moment that stayed with Janet long after. She continued calling Michael afterward, reminding him how special that night had been. Shortly after, she flew to Atlanta to work on Why Did I Get Married To? With Tyler Perry, but she never let their connection fade. Then, while on set, Janet received the devastating news. Her brother was gone. She dropped everything, rushing back to Los Angeles to join her family in mourning. Despite the media frenzy and paparazzi swarming at every corner, the Jackson family found strength in each other. Together, they chose to honor Michael's memory in the quiet, personal way he would have wanted, finding solace amidst the grief. Amid the controversies surrounding Michael Jackson's death, one of the most touching moments came during his private memorial. Michael's 11-year-old daughter, Paris, stepped up to the microphone, her voice trembling with emotion. "Daddy has been the best father you could ever imagine," she said, before breaking down and finding solace in Janet's embrace. Reflecting on that heartfelt moment, Janet expressed how proud she was of Paris. Despite her young age, Paris had honored her father in a way that resonated deeply with everyone in attendance. Janet later remarked that Paris's tribute offered the world a rare glimpse of Michael's profound love as a father, a side of him that many had never seen. She described Paris as incredibly smart and sweet, a testament to the strong influence Michael had on his children. Janet reassured others that the kids were in good hands, surrounded by cousins and supported by the family's unwavering bond, which helped them face such an unimaginable loss. After the ceremony, Janet spoke briefly to the press, sharing a few heartfelt words before returning to Atlanta to resume work on her film. To process her grief, Janet threw herself into her work, recording albums, appearing in commercials, and performing at concerts. Immersing herself in projects became her way of coping, a method of channeling her pain into creativity while keeping Michael's legacy alive. Even as time moved on, Janet Jackson's longing for her brother remained, accompanied by a quiet hope that they might reunite one day. While Janet found solace in memories and work, others, including many fans, were drawn into swirling conspiracy theories about Michael's death. Among them was Kanye West, who stirred controversy with his cryptic comments hinting at foul play. In one now infamous tweet, Kanye claimed that Michael Jackson had warned him about powerful figures in the entertainment industry before his passing. The tweet took an unexpected turn as Kanye mentioned his ex-wife, Kim Kardashian, crediting her with protecting their children. He also leveled criticism at Kris Jenner, accusing her of questionable decisions and alluding to hidden motives behind the scenes. What truly captured attention, however, was Kanye's pointed reference to Tommy Mottola, the former CEO of Sony Music. The mention raised eyebrows, leaving fans and the public questioning the significance of his words. While Kanye's outspoken rants were nothing new, some fans speculated that his deep ties to the music industry might give his claims more weight. Could Kanye, known for being both enigmatic and vocal, have insights into the murky dynamics that Michael himself had allegedly feared? Or was this just another one of his unpredictable outbursts? The questions lingered, adding yet another layer of intrigue to the ongoing mystery. For those who believed Kanye West's claims, he wasn't just another celebrity making noise. To them, Kanye was someone with inside knowledge of the music industry's hidden workings. His willingness to speak out, despite the backlash and skepticism his remarks often garnered, gave weight to the idea that he might truly know more about the circumstances surrounding Michael Jackson's death. This theory connected directly to Michael Jackson's long-standing feud with Tommy Mottola, whom Michael had publicly accused of racism and mistreatment of black artists. Their conflict spanned years, but reached its boiling point in 2002 during a fiery press conference where Michael openly denounced Sony and Mottola. He accused them of exploiting and sabotaging black talent, stating in no uncertain terms his disdain for the label's practices. In the heated address, Michael referred to Tommy Mottola as mean, racist, and devilish, even unveiling a poster depicting Mottola as a devil. He dramatically held up a sign that read, "Sony Music Kills," underscoring his frustration with the label. Michael's anger was fueled by Sony's refusal to properly promote his 2001 album, Invincible, and its failure to release a song he had written to honor the victims of the 9/11's terrorist attacks. These events left Michael feeling betrayed and reinforced his belief that powerful figures in the industry were working against him. Michael Jackson's outspoken criticism of Tommy Mottola and the music industry at large revealed a grim picture of exploitation and systemic corruption, laying fertile ground for the many conspiracy theories that emerged after his death. Some fans even speculated that Kanye West's cryptic tweets were alluding to something much larger, a hidden machinery of control and greed within the industry. Jackson's battle with the music industry wasn't just personal, it was part of a broader narrative about the mistreatment of black artists. For years, Michael had spoken out about the way record labels exploited their talent, particularly musicians of color. He shone a light on the plight of iconic artists like James Brown, who, despite being pioneers in the industry, were forced to tour relentlessly just to make a living. For Michael, these weren't isolated cases, but symptoms of a deeply ingrained system of exploitation. He accused labels of profiting unfairly from their artists, often leaving them destitute if they dared to stop performing. To him, this was not just his fight. It was about bringing attention to the countless black musicians who had been robbed of their earnings and dignity by a system designed to enrich the few at the expense of the many. His advocacy was both a call for justice and a condemnation of an industry he felt was built on the backs of underserved talent. Michael Jackson's message was unmistakable. Standing up for him meant standing up for all black artists, both past and present. His battle with Sony reached a boiling point when negotiations over the licensing of his album masters collapsed, prompting Jackson to refuse to tour in support of his Invincible album. The tension escalated further when Jackson publicly accused Tommy Mottola of using the N-word in reference to an unnamed artist, adding fuel to their already volatile relationship. However, not everyone in Jackson's inner circle fully supported his stance. Reverend Al Sharpton, a close friend and ally, backed Michael's critiques of the music industry's exploitation of black artists, but disagreed with his personal attack on Mottola. Sharpton defended Mottola, commending him as one of the first record executives to actively advocate for black musicians. "In all the years we've worked together, I've never seen any racist behavior from Tommy," Sharpton stated, offering a contrasting perspective to Michael's allegations. Sony, for its part, responded forcefully to Jackson's accusations, dismissing them as ludicrous and hurtful. They stood by Mottola, describing him as a respected executive who had always championed the careers of Jackson and other artists under his purview. Despite the company's defense, Michael remained undeterred, steadfast in his belief that he was fighting a greater battle on behalf of artists exploited by a system he saw as deeply flawed. This public back and forth deepened the rift between Michael Jackson and the music industry, amplifying the conspiracy theories that surrounded his eventual death. As Jackson's criticisms of Sony and Tommy Mottola became more pointed, the responses from the music industry grew sharper in return. Mottola and Sony accused Jackson of exploiting his celebrity to unfairly attack a dedicated, hard-working individual. They dismissed his allegations as bizarre, suggesting that Michael's grievances weren't really about the handling of his Invincible album, but stemmed from deeper, more personal issues. Reverend Al Sharpton, while empathetic to Jackson's frustrations with the industry, acknowledged that many artists and music executives felt let down by Michael's public outbursts. They viewed his statements as damaging and counterproductive. Yet, Jackson's fans fiercely defended him. They believed that Michael, a man known for being soft-spoken and private, was stepping out of his comfort zone to confront a system he had long found unjust. To them, his openness in addressing the media was not only unusual, but a testament to the gravity of the issues he was trying to expose. To Michael Jackson's loyal fans, his outbursts were not the exaggerated complaints of a disgruntled artist, but a courageous response to years of mistreatment. They argued that if everything had been fair with Sony, Michael wouldn't have felt compelled to speak out so boldly. His public frustration, they believed, was proof that something significant had driven him to confront the industry. The fans also viewed those within the music world who disagreed with Michael as complicit in perpetuating the system of exploitation he sought to expose. Over time, this narrative expanded into a broader conspiracy among fans. Many began to link Michael's outspoken criticisms to his tragic death, pointing fingers at shadowy forces like the Illuminati. According to this theory, the secretive organization saw Michael as a threat to their control and influence. Fans speculated that Michael had started unveiling hidden truths about the group, prompting them to act swiftly to silence him. To these believers, Michael was the only artist bold enough to take on figures as powerful as Sony and Mottola. His willingness to challenge them publicly, combined with his global influence, made him a dangerous figure to those in power. This theory suggested that Michael's visibility and unrelenting courage turned him into a target for a larger, more sinister plot, one that ultimately led to his untimely demise. Theories surrounding Michael Jackson's death remain a source of fascination and endless speculation. Among the most prominent is the idea that Jackson, famous for his fearless critique of the music industry, became a target of the Illuminati. According to this theory, the secretive organization viewed Michael as a threat to their control, fearing that his influence could expose hidden forces manipulating the entertainment world. If he had revealed these secrets, believers argue, it could have disrupted the industry's balance of power. Some fans took this theory further, suggesting that his death was not only deliberate, but meticulously orchestrated by those afraid of his reach and the truths he might unveil. But not all theories focused on such shadowy cabals. Some veered into the truly bizarre. One claimed that Michael Jackson had actually died years earlier, in 2007, and that the person seen at the O2 Arena announcing the This Is It tour was merely a body double. Fans who subscribed to this notion pointed to peculiarities in the 2009 appearance: his taller-than-usual frame, fingers that appeared oddly stumped, and a hasty arrival and departure from the event. These details, they argued, were clues that the real Michael Jackson had already been replaced. Another outlandish claim involved a supposed sighting of Michael in Mexico. On the day his death was announced, one man reported seeing the pop star entering the country, adding yet another layer to the wild tapestry of theories surrounding his life and untimely passing. Despite the claim of Michael Jackson being spotted in Mexico, no credible reports or sightings have surfaced since, leaving this theory without any substantiation. Among the more unconventional and arguably mundane theories is one that implicates former Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad in Jackson's death. According to this speculation, Ahmadinejad allegedly orchestrated the event to divert global attention from the political turmoil and protests that were escalating in his country. At the time, Ahmadinejad's popularity was plummeting, and unrest in Iran was reaching a boiling point. Conspiracy theorists posited that the sudden and worldwide focus on Michael Jackson's passing provided a convenient distraction, briefly alleviating the scrutiny on the Iranian government. While far-fetched, this theory gained traction among those looking for a geopolitical angle to Jackson's death. Another widely discussed theory suggested that Michael Jackson may have faked his death to escape his mounting financial troubles. With debts spiraling out of control, some speculated that Jackson saw no way out but to stage his own demise. The idea was straightforward. With the world, including creditors, convinced of his passing, he could disappear to a secluded island, far from media scrutiny, and live out his days free from financial and personal pressures. Though the theory captured imaginations, no concrete evidence has ever supported it, keeping it firmly in the realm of speculation. Despite the persistent theories, the evidence overwhelmingly confirmed that Michael Jackson had indeed passed away. The Los Angeles coroner's office officially identified the body in the casket as his, putting to rest doubts about the reality of his death. Yet, this did little to dissuade those who saw Jackson as a tragic victim of the ruthless music industry. Fans around the world expressed their sorrow over what they believed to be years of mistreatment, reflecting on the struggles he endured toward the end of his life. Many pointed to the relentless accusations and financial battles, describing them as heartbreakingly unfair. When you truly reflect on what he endured, it's devastating to think about what the accusers did to him, all for money, some said. For these fans, Jackson's tireless fight against the injustices of the industry wasn't just noble, it was costly, ultimately consuming him. Comedian Katt Williams has echoed these sentiments, frequently calling out the darker realities of the entertainment world. He has spoken candidly about the exploitation of artists, the hardships they face, and the way the industry often turns on those who resist its control. In a recent interview, Williams didn't hold back, pointing to powerful Hollywood figures and naming industry icons like Quincy Jones and Clive Davis as part of a system that thrives on control and manipulation. His statements have only added fuel to the ongoing debates about the forces that may have contributed to Jackson's tragic end. Katt Williams highlighted individuals he claims exploit artists for personal gain, asserting that influential industry figures often pressure talent into adopting images or behaviors that clash with their authentic selves. He warned that these compromises can exact a severe toll on an artist's mental health, leaving them vulnerable to exploitation. Williams pointed to stars like Michael Jackson as examples, suggesting that fame often exposes individuals to significant manipulation, making them easy targets for those looking to profit at their expense. Williams argued that beneath the industry's glamorous facade lies a harsh reality where the relentless demands of fame overshadow personal well-being. He described a system where artists pay a steep price, sacrificing their mental health and happiness for success. For Michael Jackson, Williams suggested, the immense pressures of stardom, coupled with industry exploitation, might have contributed to the struggles he faced. Despite the sorrow surrounding his story, Michael Jackson's fans continue to celebrate his enduring legacy. His music, influence, and the unwavering love of his supporters ensure that his spirit remains alive. For them, the king of pop's brilliance continues to shine brightly, immortalized in the memories of those who cherished him and the timeless art he left behind.